guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paige and this is my open book. In today's video I'm coming at you with my winter TBR. This is going to be books to last me through December, January, and February. So this is going to be a long one. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's talk about the books that I'm going to try and read in the winter season. Okay, so like I said, this is not just a December TBR. If you're new around here, I like to do seasonal TBRs. So if you want to watch my previous ones, you can, to kind of get an idea of what this is going to be like. But basically, I like to give myself a bunch of options that, like, if I'm going to read this book, this is probably the season I'm going to read it in kind of mentality. But at the end of the day, I'm a mood reader and I don't stick to a strict TBR at all. So this is just what works for me personally. I like to give myself a bunch of options, almost like a menu, if you will. That way I can have whatever I'm in the mood for that particular week. Again, that way it'll last me 3 months, the entire winter season. Let me start with the physical books because those I feel like are more set in stone versus the ones I have saved like on my Kindle wish list, because the Kindle wish list has so many books on it, it's ridiculous. But I feel like the physical books, like, I feel pretty confident these are the ones I'm going to read. So we'll start with those. First up, we have a rockstar romance. You'll see a trend. This is the only physical rockstar romance I have, but on when we get to my Kindle wish list at the end, I have a few rockstar romances that I want to read. So I put them on my winter TBR just because I feel like it wasn't really the vibe to read them in summer or fall. It just didn't match the season or the mood I was in. But now, like, I'm ready for like the more grittier romances you're gonna see. So rockstar I feel like fits that bill. So this one is Between Never and Forever by Britt Benson. This is my signed copy that I got at a local book signing that she was at. And I have been dying to get my hands on this and to read this. So I'm excited to include this in my winter TBR. And this one, I believe the rockstar is the female main character instead of the male. So I'm excited to see how that goes. I've heard this one's really angsty, so we'll see. Next up, I wanted to give myself a mystery just to kind of help mix it up when I'm not in the mood for a romance. So this is an Agatha Christie book, and this one has a winter setting. So this one is 450 from Paddington. So this is one where there's like 2 trains and people think there's a murder, but then they also think it's just like a fake performance or something like that. So this is one of the Miss Marple mysteries that Agatha Christie wrote. So Miss Marple is the detective who's on the case. Like I said, I like to just give myself things that are not romance sprinkled in just so I can, you know, mix it up and give myself some variety. And Agatha Christie never lets me down. So I figured this was a safe bet. You're also going to notice a lot of these are books that I picked up in my recent book haul. I tried to be intentional with my book haul to make sure I was buying books that I knew I was going to be reading. So the next one is Mountains Made of Glass by Scarlett St. Clair. This is a fairy tale retelling. And I feel like in the winter months, this is kind of like my last chance to read kind of like fantasy type atmospheres, because I don't usually like to read fantasy in spring and summer. I just feel like I need like the dark, broody seasons to get into the fantasy mood. I don't know why. So this is on my winter TBR for that reason. Next one's pretty obvious why it's on my winter TBR. This is The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score. This is obviously one of the other trends you'll see in a lot of the books is Christmas. Makes sense. I'm a Christmas lover. It's the season, so gotta take advantage of it while I'm in the mood. The other Christmas one I have that's a physical book is Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. It's another one from my book haul. But yeah, it's just another, you know, classic holiday romance. I think this one is Friends to Lovers too, which is always good in my book. Another book that I really wanted to read in the winter is Salt Kiss by Sierra Simone. I am going to try and read, there's like a prequel novella that comes before this. I'm going to try and read that probably like the very beginning of December, since winter doesn't technically start until like, what is it, like December 22nd or something like that. So I'll probably read that before the winter season comes, but this has been on my winter TBR ever since I knew it was coming out. So that's the plan. 2 other series that I have been planning to read in the winter since I found out about them was Shatter Me and The Naturals. So I actually already read the first book, Shatter Me. I read this like back in May, and then I realized like I'm not really in the mood to read this right now. I feel like I need it to be like the cold months to get into this. So I put this on pause, and I will be finishing the rest of the series in the winter season for sure, because I was already hooked with this first book and I know I'm gonna love it. And then this is another YA series, but this one is supposed to be like Criminal Minds but young adult. So I guess it's like a bunch of kids that the FBI gathers together for like different reasons because of the skills and the talents they have, and they have to try and hunt serial killers. And it's a whole series, I think, of like 4 books, I want to say. So I don't know, I thought this would be interesting. Again, another thing to help mix it up when I'm not in the mood for romance, because Shatter Me is like a young adult dystopian society, but it does have a romance subplot in it. I don't think The Naturals does, but I could be wrong. I don't know. And the last physical book, this is another YA. I didn't realize how many young adult books I had in here. But this is another fantasy, but this is a romance fantasy. And I've been seeing so many people rave about this, so I figured now's my chance to enjoy it while I'm still in the fantasy mood. So that is the last book on my physical TBR. So let's get into the Kindle wish list, because that one's really long. Okay, I'm going to try and just talk about my Kindle wish list in different categories, because if I were to go over every single book on this list, we would probably be here for like an hour, because I think I have like over 50 books on this list alone, separate from the books I just showed you. I know, I'm insane. I just like to give myself options, okay? I don't want to be without a book to read, you know, because there's clearly not enough books to read in the world. So I don't know why I'm worried. So first we'll talk about, I have a bunch of Christmas romances saved. I'm probably not going to read all of them, but I just have a bunch of options. The ones that I definitely want to read, I'll just highlight a couple of my like definite ones that I want to read this season. I definitely want to read Second Bite by S.J. Tilley. This is a Christmas novella that she came out with, and I just finished reading Dom, and I loved it. So I really want to read something else by her, so that's definitely on my list. The Christmas Blanket by Candy Steiner. I think this is a second chance romance with like a couple who's divorced. I love Candy Steiner, I love Second Chance, and I love Christmas. So like, honestly, why haven't I read this yet? I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. A Festive Feud by Maren Moore. So if you watched my Christmas recommendations video that I uploaded earlier this month, Maren Moore's other Christmas romance that came out last year was my favorite. So I knew I wanted to pick this up. So this will probably be the first one that I read when I'm in the mood. I'm pre-filming this video, so it's still November when I'm filming this, so that's why I'm not really reading Christmas stuff yet, but this is definitely going to be on there. I got some other ones like Trick Shot by Kayla Gross. That's like a more spicy one that I've been seeing a lot of people rave about. So those are probably the ones that I'm definitely going to prioritize. I've got so many on here. I will leave my Winter TBR wish list on Amazon linked down below, so that way you can see everything that I have on this list. I'm not going to talk about every single one in this video though, but I also have another like thriller. I have Murder on the Christmas Express by Alexandra Benedict. Again, for if I want to mix it up and not read a romance, but I still want to read something Christmassy. I thought this could be a good one. I think the only other one that I'm like definitely going to make sure that I make time to read is Baby It's Cold Outside, because this is by Melanie Harlow and Corinne Michaels. So I feel like those are two really heavy-hitting authors, so the fact that they teamed up to write a Christmas romance, I feel like that one's gonna be really good. Like I said, I've got others, but those are definitely ones I'm gonna prioritize. So the next category that I'll just highlight a couple is hockey romances. That one's obvious. Icy setting, winter, it makes sense, right? It's hockey season. So I have quite a few hockey romances on this list. I am definitely going to be starting with He's Not My Type by Megan Quinn. Although I might not be able to make it until winter, I might read this before then because this is going to come out in a couple of days. I also really want to read The Graham Effect, which is the new release by Elle Kennedy. This is the second gen of her original college hockey romance series that came out a few years ago, and everyone's been saying it's really good. Candy Steiner also has her hockey series that I haven't read yet. So there's Meet Your Match and then Watch Your Mouth. I saw mixed reviews about Meet Your Match, but everyone loved Watch Your Mouth, so I feel like I'll have good luck with that. I also really want to read Rules of Our Own by Jay Wilder. This is similar to a novella I read at Halloween time if you watched that video, but it's like 3 friends, 2 guys, 1 girl. It's like their romance, so I thought that sounded really interesting. Tuck Me Secretly by Odette Stone is another hockey romance I've been wanting to read forever. I've heard really good things about it. I think this one is about like people who survived a plane crash or something. Yeah, I don't know, but I think it's some kind of forbidden romance in a way because it's like Tuck Me Secretly. So I don't know what that's about, but I've heard good things. Consider Me by Becca Mack. This is a whole hockey series that I've heard really good things about. I also have The Puck Secret by G.N. Wright, and I also have The Pucking Wrong Number by C.R. Jane. These two I get the plots mixed up because they both involve like texting someone with the wrong number. I don't know if which one I'm gonna read because I don't remember which one sounded better. Break the Ice by L.A. Cotton is also on here. That one is described as an emotional and angsty brother's best friend hockey romance, which say no more. So yeah, those are some hockey romance options. If you feel like there's some hockey romances that I should read that I have not already talked about, be sure to leave them in the comments down below so I can be sure to add them so I don't miss any good heavy hitters. Okay, the next category, I don't know why because nothing about winter matches this, but I'm in the, okay, I know why. I've been really wanting to read mafia romance again, and I feel like because mafia romances tend to be on the darker side, winter is like a good time of year to read them. And I think because I was still in like my spooky romance mood at the end of fall, like I don't want to like be done with dark romance yet. So I thought mafia would be like a good transition. And plus I recently read Dawn by S.J. Tilly and that got me like all back obsessed with mafia again. I feel like mafia is just that type of subgenre in romance. I've heard so many other people say the same thing, so I know I'm not the only one. But you'll like binge so many mafia romances back to back until you get sick of it, and then you don't read mafia for like months, and then you miss it, and then you go back in, and then you just, you know, you start to cycle all over again. So that's where I'm at. I was going through a period of time, probably like last year, where I was reading mafia books like back to back and I was obsessed, but then I burnt myself out. So I feel like I haven't really read that many mafia books in the year of 2023 like at all. So now is my time. Now is my time for the resurgence of mafia. So because Dom was the third book in a series, I do want to read the rest of the books now. So I'm going to be going back to read Nero and King, and then the next book is coming out in December anyway called Hans. So that's definitely on my list for the winter season. I also never finished the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark. So I read the first 3 books. It was kind of all over the place. Like the first one was meh. The second one I liked, but I feel like it was just overhyped. So maybe I was like ruining my own expectations of it. But I feel like when I reflect on it, it's better than I thought it was. So I don't know. And then the third book I ended up loving, which I had very low expectations and I ended up loving it. So I think if I just don't go into this with super high expectations, I'm going to like the rest of the books, but I don't know. So that I definitely want to give a go. I just don't like leaving series unfinished. So those are definitely 2 that I'm going to prioritize so that I can finish those series out since I'm already partway through. I also really want to read Mafia Casanova by M. Robinson and who's the other author that she wrote this with? Rachel Van Dyken. So I've heard really good things about that one, so that's on here. I know that one's like a love triangle mafia story, so that should be interesting. I guess the other mafia series that I started that I have not finished yet is the Monsters and Muses series by Sav R. Miller. So I've only read the first book, which is Promises and Pomegranates, which I did enjoy it. Like I thought it was really good, but it wasn't like top tier mafia. But there's like 7 books in this series apparently, so I definitely need to continue. And the next one I think also is a rockstar romance, so it's rockstar and mafia, so I have a feeling I'm gonna really like this one. So that's also on the table. There are a couple other mafia series that I haven't started yet that I have on the list in case I want to get into a new series. I could also finish the Kings of Italy series by Mila Finelli. I've only read the first 2 books in that series, so I could finish that one out too. So yeah, I've read Mafia Mistress and Mafia Darling, so I need to read Mafia Madman next. I kind of already talked about rockstar romances, so let me see what other rockstar romances I have on here. I have Storm by Carrie and Cole. I have Sweet as Sin by J.T. Geisinger. I have Tattooed Memories by L. Ann. Those are all rockstar romances. More so closer to like February, I'm going to be definitely reading the Scarlett St. Clair Hades saga because she has the last book coming out in March, so I want to be sure I'm ready and all up to date for that. So those are my main categories. Let's throw some other like wild cards I have on here. I have A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner because I still haven't read this and so many people rave about it. This is one where it's like right person, wrong time. There's like multiple timelines going on because it's basically like spans from when they first meet to when they can finally be together, and there's like so many things they have to go through. I've heard it's super emotional. I have Minx by Sophie Lark on here. This cover, I guess because it has fur on the cover, just gives me winter vibes, even though I know the setting has nothing to do with winter, but it's okay. I do have a couple other non-romances in here just in case I want to mix it up. I have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I have Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. This is supposed to be like a murder mystery like Agatha Christie or like Knives Out. So I figured that could be a good one, and it takes place like in a winter cabin of some kind. I don't know. I have The Coldest Winter by Brittany C. Cherry. That's an obvious choice. I also have Anastasia by Sophie Lark because I know this takes place in the winter, so that could be another one. I didn't realize how many Sophie Lark books I had on here. I also have a couple like mountain setting ones. Like I have Manhunt by Vanessa Vale. I have Tattered Stars by Catherine Cowles because I haven't read anything by Catherine Cowles yet, and I know that she's like super popular, especially with like romantic suspense, and this cover just like really gives me winter vibes, so that's why I put it on here. So yeah, we've got some good variety on here. We've got some good variety. Like I said, I like giving myself options, so this might seem all over the place if you don't understand what I'm talking about. But there's intention and purpose behind it. I don't want to get bored and I don't want to get into a slump, so I like to give myself different options so that I can kind of anticipate having options available no matter what mood I'm in, because I'm a mood reader. So that's kind of how my TBRs work, and it works for me. So will I read probably even a fraction of these books? Probably not. I'll probably only read like a quarter of them, but they're there and they're ready, and that's all that matters. I think that pretty much covers everything. But like I said, I will leave it linked down below if you want to see the full list of other ebooks that I could potentially pick up. And like I said, if there are any that match these categories like mafia, rockstar, hockey, Christmas, fantasy, those kinds of things, leave them down below. Let me know if there are any that I missed that you think should be on here. And also comment down below any other books that you plan to read this winter season. Yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. So give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss my future videos, including my wrap-ups where you will see which of these books I actually read. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.